Welcome to Taste Reviews Drink Edition. This is episode 8. I'm your host, Derek Silver, and we're back with a new one. LEGENT or Legent. I'm going to go with Legent. It's spelled Legent. So you know how we do it. We start off with a description. We go into the tasting, everyone's favorite part, and then we finish it up with a tasting review. So now, moving along to the description. Now we're here for the description of Legent, 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 Legent. So I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna go right to the website. Legent Bourbon, a bourbon that redefines bourbon. Legent is a new, distinctive whiskey experience, as well as a new understanding of how learning from others can broaden horizons and push you out of your comfort zone. A bourbon unlike any other. Legent is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, partially finished in wine and sherry cask. But it's more than that. It pushes the boundaries for how bourbons can be created while remaining true to the core of bourbon's principles. It's a collaboration between two whiskey legends, Fred Noy and Shinji Fukuyo, and two unique styles of whiskey making. Legent starts with a historic bourbon recipe from Fred Noy's family. Every drop is crafted with high quality grains and calcium rich iron free limestone water and is aged in newly charred white oak barrels. It's here that Legent begins to pick up unique flavors from the different casks. Layers of spice and fruity undertones are imparted from the sherry cask, while the red wine casks lend Legent a light tartness and help punch up the dried fruit flavors. Shinji takes these distinct secondary finished bourbons and meticulously blends them with Kentucky straight bourbon. Blending all allows Shinji to balance the different flavors to consistently hit the flavor profile he and Fred originally envisioned. Legent transcends the broader whiskey category. It's a perfectly balanced and rounded bourbon that's also complex and layered. On your palate, it starts like a bourbon, rich, warm, and oaky. Then, like a Japanese whiskey, it features complex layers and a bright, smooth, unexpectedly long finish. Legent has brought together over 225 years of bourbon making heritage and nearly 100 years of Japanese whiskey artistry. It's a unique collaboration between two of the world's most revered whiskey makers. And just like a traditional bourbon, Legent starts with premium grains like corn, rye, and malted barley, and is aged in select white oak barrels. 3 different types of barrels are used to create the unique flavor profile of Legent. Each one imparts its own unique characteristics to this boundary-pushing bourbon. From these barrels, Legent absorbs char notes and rich traditional bourbon cues like layers of caramel, oak, and vanilla. Sherry casks add complex layers of spice, raisin, and heavy dry fruit flavor. These casks also help give Legent its deeper reddish color. French oak wine casks impart different oak notes than traditional white oak bourbon barrels. These red wine casks also give Legent mild fruity undertones and a light acidity. So now, this is one of the reasons why I actually picked this whiskey when I went shopping for it, because of the description and because of how much goes into actually making this particular bourbon. It's a new bourbon, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey that's out now, and it just seems like a lot goes into making it. So I was curious about how um, the flavors would be. I've been drinking whiskey for a few years now. I just started the show, so I thought that this one would be a good um, tasting to have this early on in the shows. We already had a Japanese whiskey, and we've had a few uh, other whiskeys, bourbon whiskeys, straight bourbon whiskeys, Scotch whiskeys. So I thought that this one would be a good one, a good collaboration between sort of all of the whiskeys that we've tasted so far. So let's talk about the bottle. The bottle is real nice. It looks real elegant. It's real smooth. Has a masculine look to it. I like the label. I like the color of the label. It goes well with the color of the actual whiskey. You can see how dark and reddish it is. And um, the label has a few details, not as detailed as the actual website, of course, which will be in the description of the video. But it's a nice bottle overall. Has subtle details to the label on the side of the label, and has a nice simple label with the signatures of the whiskey makers. I think it's a nice bottle. It's a nice looking bottle, very nice looking bottle. A bottle that I would love to have sitting on my bar. It just has a great look to it. So now that we got the description out of the way, now we're moving on to the best part, the tasting, which I'm very, very excited about with this particular whiskey. So let's move on to the tasting. Now we're back for the tasting. And as you can see, the color on this bourbon, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey is it's beautiful to me. It's a nice, deep, reddish color to it. It's real beautiful. It's really nice. It looks really good. Um, the body of it is thin. It's not too oily. It's just a tad bit oily. But it's thin. It has a nice smell to it, a subtle smell. And just thinking about the color, it's almost like, it's wine, like it's real dark, like a nice red wine. So according to the description, them having it in the wine and sherry cask gives it this color, particularly in the wine cask. So it makes sense that the color looks like this. Um, let's go back to the description a little bit and talk about the flavor profile. And it says it has light tartness, dried fruit flavors, um, oaky flavors, and this is just a mix of all of the with the bourbon and having it in the sherry and the wine cask. Um, so it seems like it's a lot of flavors that can be pulled from this actual whiskey. What else? Whatever finish. They say it has a long finish to it. It's smooth. Um, it has complex layers. Warm and oaky. What else? Grains like corn, rye, malted barley. Um, yeah, so this one should be an interesting one. Layers of caramel, oak, and vanilla. So let's get to the tasting. I have my two tumblers on the outside, and I have my nosing glass right here. As I said, the body of it is thin, just a little oily. It has a fruity smell to it. Definitely a oaky smell, sort of like a oaky, smoky type smell. Smells really good. And let me taste it. Interesting. So it definitely has a fruity taste to it. I can definitely taste the fruity flavors of it. Definitely has an oaky taste to it. Not a strong oaky taste. It blends just well with the fruit flavors. Um, Definitely taste the caramel. I can taste the caramel more after the initial um, taste of the oak and the fruits. So the caramel comes later on, and I can definitely taste vanilla. The caramel vanilla definitely comes after you taste the fruits and the oak and a subtle smoke flavor to it. Let me have one more taste. See, the description said it had a long finish. I definitely don't taste long. Um, I have more of a medium long. Um, if anything, with its if it has a long finish, um, the finish is definitely much more smoother than the initial taste of it. Uh, like I said, towards the back end of tasting it, I could taste more of the vanilla and caramel flavors. In the beginning of it, I taste more of the fruit and oaky smoke flavors of it. So let me try it now with the ice. In their description, let me go to that part right there. It says, as you drink Legent neat or on the rocks, you'll notice it. It change quickly as it sits on your tongue. It starts like a bourbon, rich, warm, and oaky, definitely. Then, like a Japanese whiskey, it features both complex layers of dried fruit and spice. Adding an ice cube or or two accentuates Legent's already bright, smooth, and unexpectedly long finish. This is definitely a smooth whiskey. It definitely has notes of oak, fruits, vanilla, caramel, a little spice. The spice is almost like in the middle of the flavor profile. Like it goes from fruity, oak, spice, vanilla, caramel, and that's in. So I guess that's where they're getting the long finish from because it definitely has a lot of flavors to it. And I'm actually glad that it matches up with the description. Like they definitely put a lot of flavor profiles into this whiskey by adding all these elements. So let me taste it now with the ice on the rocks. First, let me smell it. Well, look, I'm so excited about it. I forgot to cleanse my palate. Okay, now back to the rocks. On the rocks, you can still smell the fruitiness of the bourbon. Now, on the rocks is much, much more smoother and it's still flavorful. Y'all know I had a few whiskeys so far that wasn't as flavorful on the rocks, but this whiskey is just as good on the rocks as it is neat from the nose and glass. So let me have one more taste. Mm. I definitely love the flavors coming from it on the rocks. It's not as oaky on the rocks. It's much more fruity. It's still a little spice, but it comes after the fruit flavors, and it ends off with a vanilla. You don't taste the caramel anymore. I don't taste the caramel anymore on the rocks, but I do taste the vanilla. But it's much, 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 much more smoother on the rocks than it is neat. But they both taste great. They both taste great. Both have uh, a lot of flavors. It's really good because I'm about to burp. Excuse me. You know the whiskey is good when it starts making you burp. So let me cleanse my palate and we're going to move on to the next tumbler, and I'm going to add a splash of water to it. Okay, got my splash of water to the next tumbler, and then I just love this color. Like this color, it makes the glass look even good right now. So smelling it with the splash of water, still has a fruity smell to it. Not strong at all. It's real subtle, real smooth. So now let me taste it. Mm. Now with the splash of water, it makes it even more smoother. I still taste the fruitiness, just a tad bit of the oaky flavor. Still taste the spice. The spice has been strong with all three. Not strong in the sense of it's going to burn your tongue or anything, but that the spice flavor notes didn't go anywhere with it being neat on the rocks or with a splash of water. The spice stayed directly there, but it's always after the fruity flavor. So the spice is always in the middle. So you don't finish with the spice, which is a good thing. Because I know a lot of people don't like that feeling of their chest burning and stuff like that. So the spice is always in the middle. So let me take one more taste and let me get more of a feel for the finish of it. Yeah, so the finish of it, I would say is still long. Um, I can taste the vanilla. The vanilla is still on the back end of this whiskey with the splash of water. So the vanilla still finishes off you can taste the caramel just a little bit, but the vanilla is much more stronger than the actual caramel flavor. So overall, um, they taste it's great on all three states. The neat on the rocks and with a splash of water. So that leads me into the tasting review right there. So we just gonna get right into it. Tasting review for Legent Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And even on the label, I forgot to note that it says it's partially finished in wine and sherry casks. And I also forgot that the alcohol volume is 47%. And I enjoyed this one. I've really enjoyed this one. I'm glad I picked it out after looking it up and seeing the extensive process of how they make this one. This is a new whiskey, so I'm very pleased with it. Um, the price point was good as well. I paid about in the $30 range for this bottle. So this is a fifth, of course. So this one was a good price range for the flavors. This one is a very complex whiskey, and I feel like it would be good for any level of whiskey drinker because of the many type of flavors that it offers. I feel like if you drink this right here, you can almost pinpoint what type of whiskey you like because it has almost every flavor that you can find in a whiskey. So my tasting review of Legent Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Legent. I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong. I swear I tried to figure out how to pronounce it, but I just went with Legent because I ain't seen no accent points, nothing, no nothing. So we're gonna go with Legent. So overall, man, this one was I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I'm very pleased that I can actually drink it on the rocks because I don't always like drinking um, my whiskeys neat. You know, sometimes you do want to have a nice cold drink. So you can actually drink this one and have great flavors on the rocks. So out of five tastes, out of five tastes, I give Legion Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey 4.5 out of 5. Yes, 4.5 out of 5 tastes for Legion Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. For the simple fact that it has a lot of different flavors to it, and you can drink it any type of way. Any type of way. And it's almost to the point where, you can almost pair it with a lot of different things. You can have it after a meal, during a meal. Um, Shoot, I can see myself having a steak with this, chicken, um, fish. I can see myself having any type of meal with this whiskey because of the many different flavor profiles that it has. Like it will give you it will add to the meal in a different type of way because of the many different type of flavors that it offers. So, Legion Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 4.5 out of 5 tastes. This is Taste Reviews Drink Edition. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Shout out to the people who have donated to the show. Shout out to the people who have commented on the videos. Shout out to all the people who have liked, shared, all that good stuff. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep it going. I appreciate all your support. Make sure you drink responsibly. All of the information for this whiskey will be down in the description box, as well as my information if you want to donate to the show financially. And if you can't donate to the show financially, you can always like, share, comment, all that good stuff. So, this has been another episode of Taste Reviews Drink Edition, episode 8. I'm your host, Derek Silver, and make sure you drink responsibly. Drink responsibly.